Mvskoke, Desiray, for those who are online, we've got a class in here, so I can see you on the side. If you guys can't hear me for some reason, just let me know. You can either put it in chat or you can unmute. If you have any questions, you put it in chat or unmute as well. All right, yeah. All right, so let me start out with, and everybody here has different language levels. We're at different levels, but I know some of the people to go over the sounds and everything. So I think that'll be good to refresh. We will get to what we are going to learn this module. So we will go quickly through the sounds. These are on Google Drive. Hopefully, copy them all. That only copy. Let's try this again. All right, so there's our Google Drive. You guys online who want to see what we're talking about, I have handouts here for everybody in the class. This is what I went over today. I had to teach Mvhayv, and this is also, I guess, the sounds and the alphabet. So we'll briefly go over. That's why it's got her name on it. When I have to teach for her, I keep her stuff in my Google Drive, so it's easier for me to reach. All right. So for those of you online, we're going to briefly go over the Mvskoke sounds, and like you see here, I put alphabet, but if you ever have Mvhayv Barnett's class, she does say the sounds. She doesn't like the word alphabet. For those of us who went to school, learning English first, we know it as the alphabet. But like I said, this is the same thing, sounds. So let's go through it. A, G, G, E, E, B, E, A, E, D, E, D, O, P, E, or please, or C, C, P, U, R, V, E. Okay, so that's our Mvskoke alphabet. You have the link to Google Drive. And these are some of the things I know I went over earlier today. I went over earlier today, but like I said, we're going to refresh because we have some new students. Hi, if you guys please sign in and grab you a little, the handouts are right there. So you guys will know what we're going over. So, right here, you see we have a short E, like an it. We have a long E, and these are some of the things that we get mixed up in speaking Mvskoke. I know I do. I know even some of the speakers. So I get the A sound, A. The O has the O. The R has either the Z, like athlete, or C. The U has the U, and the B has the sound. So those are some of the things that people get tripped up on. I know I even get tripped on. And these are some examples of things that I've heard and things that I've come across. And I know you guys want to give me handouts for this one. Because, like I said, this is something I taught earlier today. Cheeky chop, please. And this is how I learned it at College of Mvskoke Nation. It has a flea, cheeky chop, please. And it's got the long E right here. That's how I learned it. And like I said, I've learned it different ways. This one is chiquichates. Chiquichates. Because the TH and the I, chiquichates. And that's how I hear from speakers in the Mvskoke language program talking is chiquichates. But I've heard chiquichates, and that's how I learned it. And when I made the word of the day, I spoke of chiquichates. Because that's how our speakers speak in hopefully. So I've heard, and I know I've said this before, but I wanted to show you guys a visual. Totally. Somebody use totally. But there's no, for the O, it doesn't have the O sound. So I heard somebody speaking, and of course, we were all in public, and I didn't say, hey, it's wrong. I said, he said, totally. And what I told my class earlier today is I could hear Mvhayv on my shoulder saying, hopefully. Totally. So I can hear our speakers, speaking the correct way sometimes. There's the O doesn't have the O sound. If you look up here, it's O. It's the O the sound. So when somebody says totally, you're like, okay, you're missing that. You're putting the English O in there, totally. So, and this is the reason I wanted to go over this is because we're trying to capture the speaker sound the way they say it. And it's totally, yeah. And then just doggy, it's got just doggy, but if you look at the U, it's ooh sound. So and this is what I did. This is the one I did. I'm like just doggy, and I was like, please. And it's got the ooh sound, just doggy. So the ooh is in there. Just doggy, not just doggy, just doggy. And that's the difference between, that's one of the small differences between the speakers and those of us who are learning, but we're trying to capture that sound. And that's why Mvhayv goes over the sounds. You can say just doggy, people know what you're talking about, but to sound like a speaker, and sometimes I got caught up on it, and they're saying, it's wrong. Just doggy. And holaki. I heard somebody say holaki. That they use the O sound in English, which don't have. We see this right here. It's like the holaki. These are some of the things I just wanted to pass on to you why we try to go back to our sounds and learning the sounds the way that our speakers speak. All right, does anybody have any questions? I know, Christy, I know that you already heard this today. I've seen you in class. But like I said, I'm just briefly going over this to refresh us because I know we've had 2 weeks leave. And if you guys have any questions, I would say just practice your sounds. And I know you guys heard of this before. You just like at a stop sign, you just put C, D, O, E. So, if you're driving around, you see a stop sign, okay? I'm sorry, what?
I'm hungry.
Oh. You're back there. You guys are welcome to go. I would take one of them. That's one of the things that I told my class is I am hungry, or I'm eating. So you will hear a lot of references to food. Stajati is like a lot of interaction, so you will hear a lot of my examples of food. All right. And then if you're driving down the street, just practice your sound, like Main Street. Me, a, me. Just, get into the Mvskoke mindset, get to doing, thinking about it every day. Just go out and say some of these, when you learn a word like street, that's kind of thing. She'll be, don't be passing a street, baby, you should in the car voice. She's happy to know that. And so, just any of the Mvskoke words you guys learn, just use it every day or try to, like I told the class, sometimes there's a word that gets stuck in your head, and you're like, what the heck am I saying? What the heck am I thinking? And I know you guys know Chunwa. That was stuck in my head for a while, and that means salt. So I was like, oh, Chunwa, why do I keep saying it? So it gets stuck in my head. You got a question?
Oh, that was going to come here.
Oh, okay. Right here?
That one is this one.
Yeah, I'm gonna go into this right now. So, like I said, we're talking about the Mvskoke sounds. So, if you guys are on Zoom, you will hear Mvhayv Barnett say that Mvskoke sound. And this is what she's talking about. It's the sound of our alphabet. So the C's got the chi, the A's got the chi, I, chi, Chi A, Chi O, Chi U, E. So remember, these are the sounds of our Mvskoke together. So you've heard how each one of them sounds by themselves. So when you put it together, it will change a little bit. So what Mvhayv Barnett and how I've learned is, if you need to practice your sounds, you go da, di, ji, j, sho, ju, ja. And there is recording online that I have put out there before to show you, and that you can hear it. So you can see it, you can hear it, and you can say it, so you remember the sounds. So when you make some of these words, you've already said it when you start doing these exercises. And one thing about language is it takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of work. And so, I encourage anybody, those online as well, to go through the Google Drive, review some of the things, and I try to put all of our speakers on there so you can hear what we're trying to attain. We're trying to sound like that. Oh, if I'm in your way, just let me know. Oh, I don't have any sign. All right, so. And this is what you guys are talking about. Here's the two-letter solo. And let's see, I will go with this one now. Ne, ni, ne, no, no. So that gets your mouth ready to go. That gets your mind, your brain, and your mouth connection together. And one of the things I tell my learners is sometimes you can hear it in your head, you can read it, but then when you speak it, it does not come out correctly. So this is, your mouth is like your tongue, and your mouth is like English. And so it takes a brain mouth connection, eye connection. It's almost like when you're playing a sport, you have to. If somebody's throwing you a ball, you have to have that reaction to catch it correctly. Sometimes timing is off, and it hits you in the head. Dodgeball. So same thing with your mouth. You've got to get your mouth in practice. So there's 2 letters. There's also 3 letters. And Mvhayv Barnett, we talk about this. She even goes through these sometimes because we're surrounded by English, and our minds just reverts back to English really easy. But sometimes even just a few of these lines will get your eyes and your mouth ready to speak Mvskoke and to kind of switch your brain from English to the Mvskoke mindset. All right, so let's see. Let's go ahead and do the top one. Stop. Stay. D. Stay. Go. Do. All right. And these are just little exercises for you guys to practice. Like I said, I have it on, I think it was module 1 when we went over this. I have that on there. So you guys can go anytime at night, go into the Google Drive. You can hear it. You can hear it being spoken. And so you'll remember the sounds of it. I know when I was learning these, they would speak it in class. We didn't have an audio to go to, so I'm over here for writing like jaw. And I would write J-A-W, jaw. That was a sound that I could remember. That helps you do that right in your notes. All right. Since we have a few new students here today, I'm just going to go over this briefly again. Mvskoke words. And so when I went through college and I learned you know, the Mvskoke language through college. I was not able to grow up with it, so I couldn't understand the sounds because I didn't hear it very often. So when they were showing us the alphabet, they would use the Mvskoke words. If you don't know how to say the Mvskoke words, you don't know what sound you're looking for. That's why I put it to English when we did it in the beginning, like oh, blah, oh my, you hear the ah. And for those, you know, once you start getting more proficient of knowing what you're saying, hearing it, you can go ah, but and you see that I have it broken down. If anybody asks you to spell it out in the Mvskoke sound, she, he. And you see that these are some of my notes, and if these don't work for you, use your own. But she, these happen. And like I tell everybody, when I teach you guys something, I want you to know what you're saying. So, you know, somebody can't say, you know, hey, it means this, it means that. And funny story, everybody's done this, so no judging. You always have somebody who's saying, hey, give me an Indian name. You know, I know we've all had that. Give me an Indian name, and just, you know, as native humor, you say, oh, okay, let's see, let's name you Bumby, which means state. So it means state, and so like, hey, let's name you Bumby, and they're like, oh, okay, Bumby, yay! What's that mean? It means brave warriors. So you're walking around, you're going to class, hey, Bumby, and they're like, oh. The funny thing is, when this was done, it was in a different state, and there weren't any Mvskoke that I know of. So I just chuckled, you know. But I think one of my children did that in her school, and she's like, Mama, she said I couldn't carry it off. She goes, every time I say, hey, Bumby, and then like, she said I would start laughing, so they do something. But you know, these are some of the stories that come with, you know, learning or knowing this code. But here again, Jissy is for the C, Ido, for E, and that's where I was saying my grandchild was Ido, because you'll see it, you know, when we're in the car, Ido. And I encourage everybody to, you know, get your children involved, grandchildren involved, and they will learn through you, if not just a few words. You know, my grandchild goes, Autumny, Husky, you know, white car, Autumny, Lusty, black cars. She knows things. She's 3. So I'm excited because she knows a lot more than I did when I was 3. She knows her English words, English alphabet, English numbers, Mvskoke alphabet, Mvskoke numbers, because we had YouTube playing for her while she was playing in her room. And kids are awesome. They're just like, soak it up. And they remember, you know, if grandma says, hey, I'll give you a cookie if you sit down. Hey, go ahead and sign in and grab you a packet right here. And so she remembers, you know, if grandma says, hey, I'm gonna give you a cookie. You know, after we do laundry, you know, you're just folding the last one. Where's my cookie? But they are like little sponges and they absorb everything. So I encourage you to, you know, share these words and everything with your grandchildren or your children. But this is all out there as well. Like I said, this is in a Google Drive. You can look that over. And this is things you guys already know because we've already gone over this. Let me go ahead. Yeah. Remember, this is how we conjugate it. And how many people remember this? Okay. Tell me, is it first, second, or third person? And tell me why. Okay, go ahead.
It's I and.
All right, so it is first person.
With the I and.
Because it has the I. So right here, when I teach, I try to break it down. So when we conjugate it, eating, it's right here, I am. So now, if you say Mvhayv, then people know, you know what you're saying. If you go up to one of the speakers, and I've done some of these things, because I'm still learning as well. It's like, what does this say? And if it's Mvhayv, you can go to one speaker and they're like, oh, eating. You go to another speaker, oh, it's saying you're eating. Oh, it's talking about eating. You go to 3 different people. So now the cool thing is, eating, I am eating. All right? So that's why I like to teach the way I learned and the way I was taught, because it makes sense to me. I know for a lot of the speakers and other people who learned a different way, it doesn't make sense. But I encourage everybody to listen and to think about it. And if it doesn't make sense, then just block out the part that doesn't make sense and you knew it a different way. Learn that way. Hey, welcome. Lori, recognize you. All right, so we're just basically going over stuff I learned today before I present the news. All right, this is a student we have online, and I just wanted to introduce Thor, because I know you traveled a little ways to get here. But this is our in-person class.
Oh.
All right.
Yeah, my favorites.
So we have all different language speaking people. Some of us are new, some of us know a little bit more, some of us know a lot more. So welcome forward. All right. So these are some of the things I went over today. And let me see. This one. Can anybody tell me what first says? First, second, or third? And why? Okay. Second.
BTS.
All right. BTS. It's if it's peace. If it's peace. Here. It's Desiray. That's what we had conjugated to learn. So after we conjugate it, you can see this part means learning. This is your person mark for you, and then R. Learning you are. So that's what it looks like right there. Learning you are learning. Right? So one of the things that when we do our conjugation from top to bottom, just like right here, this is the verb stem right here, the black part. So keep, like get to that, keep. And then your it's, that second person is, so that is also a way for you guys to learn to speak it. Is when we conjugate it, break it down. That's a different way to learn. Or you can just put just break it up into syllables. Right there, you would put a mark here, and then fit, put a mark here, and then skids. All right. Okay. So, and one more from our gold ones. Right there. Is that first, second, or third, and why? Okay. Okay. And why? How do we know that's the third person? The third person.
Well, because it doesn't have an I or it.
It doesn't have an I or it's. Remember, it doesn't have an I or it's, so it's third person. And let me show you here. And this right here is my placeholder, the open and close parentheses. Remember, that's when we conjugate, I put that in there so I know not to skip a step. So it's get up, it's to drink. So this is what we conjugated. It's he's drinking right here in the parentheses, open and close parentheses, she, it, or they. I chose he, you can chose she, you can chose it, or you can choose they, is. Here, he is. He is. Drinking, he is drinking. You can put drinking she is, drinking it is, drinking they are. Remember, this means am, are, is. Right here. All right.
These people.
Right, this is, since we had conjugate, since we've been going through this, we've just been doing a small portion of our conjugation. And there's a lot more, but this one, yes, it can be conjugated that way. Yeah, like I will do something, I will not, or going to. So, like I said, language is a lifetime of learning, and what I'm showing you, I try to spread it out so we can remember, you know, and not go too fast. I know I've been in some classes where I was like, you know, I was just starting to get it, and then they went to something else. And then I was like, wow, okay, then I was just starting to get that, and then they went to something else. I go really slow, so it's a lot of repetition. All right, so this is what we had gone over. And I don't have the printout for this, but let's go ahead and sing our song. With you, shoot. Let's sing our song. And those of you online, just sing the song as well. Hopefully everything works. I have everything working where both of us can hear. Sometimes it goes where I can't hear it. That sounded really good. And now we will get into module 4, which we started today. And you should have handouts. Handout. Let's go over the handout. And I know I made it pretty because I like visuals, like I said. Future one tense. Future one tense shows that someone is going to do something. So last module we were not going to do something. So this module we are going to do something. There's no L rating in future one tense. Schools. You drop your ETB. You add the tense marker on going to. You add your person marker. I, it's, or nothing. And you add your declarative ending S or ES means am, are, is. All right, so that sounds familiar because we've been doing our steps. Anybody have any questions before I go to the next one? All right. Anybody online have any questions? No? Okay, all right. So here is the template. I know I've told you guys my bleeding heart story. This would have made it a lot easier when I was learning all this stuff. But all of these templates I had made from all of my notes and when we did our steps. So this will help you guys, you know, put it in your folders, keep a copy of it to plug and play. I started putting right here at the top the module that we're in because I know sometimes things get mixed up, and you'll know where these go in your folder. So module 1, week 1, class 2, there's some that's class 3, class 1. Sometimes there will be stuff in class 3, but not always. So, like I said, humpida, to eat. You drop you put humpida right here to eat. You drop your ETP, which first in the HOM people. No L grading. So you add your ahan, which is your tense marker, which means going to. Ahan means going to. You drop that down, so it'll be ahan. You add your person marker I. Right here, so each step adds something new. Drop all that down, I, and then you add your S. Remember the S means am, are, is. Umbahanis. You add your picture verb stem there. You got your and then you have umbahanis. You know what each part of the sentence means now. And that, like I said, I always like to know what I'm saying. And what people are calling me, you know, I know what pumpkin means. All right, so you've got your verbs and like I said, I color coded so it makes it easier. Going to, I is the person marker I, and S, the am, are, is. Umpahanes, I am going to eat. All right, so these are plug and play templates that I made. And you know, I could actually go to somebody's college, hey, I got a little cheat sheet for you. $5. It'll save you a lot of stickers. Now, what is it called? Quick notes they have. Not that I know what this means, but now they've got the AI, you know, that's kind of scary. But you know, helpful in some ways, scary in others. So, I had put in here, just like I always do, I try to show you guys.
No L grading, what is that?
In module 1, we did L grading. I am doing some. But in the modules after that, we have had no L grading. So module 1 is I am doing something. I know it's always I. No, sometimes for the first person, it's I or I or B, depending. And like I said, I'm teaching you the way I learned. I learned academically, not by the speakers. You can ask the speakers. Sometimes they're interchangeable, the I and the Yeah, but like I said, I'm teaching you how I learn, and it makes sense to me. And sometimes, you know, the dictionary that, you know, the green dictionary, it doesn't have all of these things in it. It's only about that big, and there are things that are not in the dictionary. Also, in that book that I showed you guys for the grammar, I was told that there's a lot of things in there that are correct, but a lot of them in there that not everybody agrees with. You know, and we have to see who wrote it. Were they native? Were they a speaker? Their view and their writing is going to be different from a native who's a speaker. And then again, where did the speaker reside? Did they reside in the Eufaula area? Did they reside more towards Tulsa? Did they reside in Mvskoke? You know, regional sounds. And I know one of the things that I talk about is like IFA and IFA for dog. I've heard both. And I've heard people come up to me and say, well, you said IFA. I learned IFA. As if that's how you learn it, that's how you remember it, say it. I'm not going to say anybody's wrong. Do you have a question?
With her question, you said it's either to sit and still be way of egg or not, that it would be about it would be there if you had L grade or
L grade is I can go back to that.
well, you don't want to.
No. Because I know somebody called. I know a lot of people think like, I make it L grade. So let's go to it and I will. This is on module 1, and For some reason, in modular life, you know, we talk about I know something, and that's L3. Maybe a few seconds to find it, I'm not sure exactly. Here we go. This is the present tense. This is how I learned it in college. So, you know, I've talked to some people and they're like, the end product is correct. And they're like, I don't know how you went through L grading college. This is how I learned. And like I said, I can only teach you how I learned and how it makes sense to me. And if you find a way that helps you more, learn that way, you know. This is how I learned, and these are the steps and the rules that were presented. It's simple present tense, simple tense present tense, and it'll show L grading. We're conjugating in present tense what is happening now. Present tense step is drop the ETB, that sounds familiar. L grade the verb stem, lengthen the final vowel of the verb stem. That's what L grading is. Lengthen the final vowel. If the final vowel is a B, change it to an A unless it's followed by an MK, NK, or T. If it is, leave it a B. The rest of the final vowels, place a long mark over it, and the long mark is the L grading. Like leave it up, leave it up. So add the person marker, I fixed, and there's also again a placeholder. This time it's using I for the first person, and you know we've also used for the first person. But this one is using I. It's just still you, and then this placeholder is still third person, and so that means that there's nothing there. But in my notes, it's either this one, a circle with a line through it, or opening close parenthesis. That's my placeholder. And the declarative ending S or ES. Present tense conjugation. Step one, drop the ETB, get the verb stem. Again, it's the same thing. You L grade this verb stem, lengthen the final vowel of the verb stem. If the final vowel is a, change it to off, unless it's followed by MK, NK, or T. If it is, it will be the rest of the vowel is a long mark. L grade means lengthen, so you lengthen the final vowel of the verb stem. Okay.
Okay, so like home is the verb stem, right? Home. Like for home. Home is the verb stem, and then since we're not doing the A or the B, since it's just those brackets, that's what no L grading is, right? Because there's not a person marker.
No, I'll show you. Sorry, no. L and L grading means limited, so you think it's final vowel. L grade shows tense. So MVPN through L grade and MAN. Like this is just
The L grade shows tense.
so yeah, the L grade shows the L grade shows the tense. Yeah, because you're talking about I am doing something, it's showing that I am doing something. So that shows the present tense. Because you know if you're doing this, you're talking about the present. And I'll show you a copy of one of them that we had at home. The final vowel in the last, the final vowel in the last vowel in the verb stem is MVM. The final vowel can also be the only vowel in the verb stem. Becomes an A unless it's followed by that. MK in here, so all the other vowels will be linked by adding the long mark over it. You see the A with long mark, the I with long mark, the O with long mark, and the E with a long mark. As a person marker, I gets for nothing. Person marker show who's doing the action. I is the first person, who I. It's the second person means you. Third person does not have a marker, so at that time I represented it by a 0 with a line through it. Right now, I've been doing open and close parentheses because it shows she, he, it, or they. When I do my notes, no person marker means a third person. Like I said, this is just my placeholder when I do my notes. And the third person translated, literal English from she, he, they, in the singular and it. They can also mean many, but we're using just in this, when we were doing this, it was just mean singular. So they are doing, where's grandma? You know, she's over there. They are, or somebody points, they're cooking, fried rice. So it's just for grandma. That's singular. And as a declarative ending, S or ES, the declarative endings and also are also the periods. And the reason why I put it in capitals is because I kept getting marked for it. Without putting a period, they also make and markers. All right, let's see if we can. Here we go. So that is L grading, and that comes from the Mvskoke sentence structure book, the black book that I brought before. I don't have it today, but that's where that comes out of. And the reasoning and why they do this, I couldn't tell you. That's how I learned to do. I am doing something, but like I said, to get things in and out of that book, but at the same time, we don't always go by the book. That's all I can say. I don't know how to explain it without any different. Let's see. Trying to find one that we go. All right, so let me show you an example. Of L grading. Teach it up. To see, teach it up. This is also, you know, like I said, you can plug and play into it. Teach it up to see step by step. You drop the verb, you drop the ETV, get your verb stem. And this is where you L grade. And I don't have the rules that I just showed you, but this is what it's talking about. The last vowel has a long run over it. Teach it up. Teach it up. It's got the long teach it up. It's the final vowel. That's what it's talking about L grading. So I know we talked, Mvhayv talks about the tones and how you can change the tones and change the meaning of things. I'm guessing that this is how people know, you know, that you're talking about what you're doing now in the present, each of them. Because it's got a long E over it. Like I said, sometimes we work in the book and sometimes I just work with the speakers. You know, we go back and forth, and also the colleges do that as well. So you hear one thing in one college and another because our language is not written down. And different people are trying to explain how we learn or how to teach. Go ahead.
When you're talking about that first vowel, eat, the meaning, I mean, if the eat, does that mean that if you're in present tense, the right way to say it would be to say I speak with you, he did it instead of he did it?
That's what I understand. That's
So
why.
he did it.
Yes, yes. But that's after he, it's got the long E, that's when it changes. Yes. And one of the other ones, Ayeda, to go, it changes, the V to an A. IS. That's how you get there. And that's the one I was wanting to show you, but I don't know exactly where it's at.
He lives.
So, you know, it's like I said, I'm still learning, so I'm trying to put all of these things together in my head as well as to learn and then share with you guys. Does anybody have any more questions? Let me just finish this one and then we'll go back to model 4. But that's what it's talking about upgrading. It's a long mark over the E. I know it's confusing, I know, but once you stick with it and you just keep going, it'll start making sense. And like I tell, you know, all the learners, is stick with it. I know sometimes you're like, dang, I'm just up to here and learning and just like seem like you're so cool. But just listen, because your mind will, you know, because I'm just gonna tell an example. I'm not gonna say who did it, but you know, about 45 minutes into the lesson, because we were going every day, 45 minutes into the lesson, I'm like, dang, what am I gonna eat for lunch? What am I gonna cook? You know, dang, I need to run to make sure I don't get a ticket because I only have so many quarters of meter. So I'm thinking of all of this. She's still teaching. My mind is still hearing what she's saying. And like I said, my brain just kind of switched channels. And then later on that day, I was like, oh, she did say this. My mind just like switched back and said, oh, I remember she did say that. So our minds are awesome. And they like to, I don't know about men's mind. I can only speak from experience, but women's mind like to multitask. You know, I gotta pick up diapers. I gotta do this, I gotta do the laundry, I gotta cook. The women's minds, and I have my husband, when we were talking, and he goes, dang, because we're talking about something, and then my mind switches channels, and I start talking about stuff balance, and it's like, wait, did you just switch channels on me? I'm like, I did. So, you know, the cool husband will pick up on your cues after years, you know, been married 30-some years. So he'll pick up on the clues, but that's how a woman's mind works. For those of you who don't know, we'll switch channels. Sometimes there's some things we don't want to hear, so we'll switch channels and we'll start thinking about that mountain. But all right. So that's where you get that's what it's talking about upgrading. Put the mark over. We don't do that very often, except for from what I understand. This one is how I learned it. I didn't get to go to Pre-2 class. They kept canceling, but this is how I learned it from one of the colleges. And then you add your person marker again, I, because we're talking about I is first person and then S. MR is, and it also means a period, therefore I put the period there. I don't do it in all my stuff, but I should. Each, Eaches. Verb stem, person marker, declarative ending. The declarative ending means, you know, you can use am, are, or is. That's why all three are there. Because, you know, whatever you're talking about, you can talk about am, are, is. And it's not only in first, but it's also in second and third person that the S means am, are, is. That's why I said the period at the end is Eaches. So we went from 2C to INC. Right, and that's where the L grading, I know people always ask, but I'm like, it's in module 1. But that's where it comes from. And that was also taken like from the Mvskoke Creek instruction from that Blackboard. I've seen it there. And I asked another Mvhayv, because you know we all learned differently in learning the Mvskoke language. I asked her, she learned a lot of academically like I did, and she was telling me, yeah, she's seen that before. You know, like I said, it's not everybody doesn't know this, but there are people who do. We do it a different way. I know I've seen. I also reviewed when I was hired over there. Also reviewed a lot of the previous teachers from other the previous Mvhayvs, and they would just say drop the ETB and add the VS, us, and then the command. Well, that's cool and everything, but that to me, it doesn't show you what each part of it means. You know, but you know it's a command, eat, you know, or drink, or run. But I always like to know the breakdown of everything, and a lot of our Mvhayvs speak now. Learn from absorption from childhood. And I want to put this in there, in utero, babies can hear their language spoken. So, you know, even expecting people, even expecting moms, you're training your child to understand spoken. And I always like to say there's power in our Mvskoke language and there's power in our words. So I encourage everybody to get what they know, take it outside, go for a walk, and talk to whatever it is and address it by the Mvskoke name. And you will see that there's connection there that you can't get in English. You know, and I like to tell the story. I was running, that was hot. This is before I knew the words for Mvskoke things. And I would just have an appreciation. Thank you, son, because it's hot. I love the heat. I'm solar powered. You know, it makes me feel good to be in, not this hot. This hot makes me think of chocolate, so I'm walking and I'm melting. And I did tell somebody the other day when we were walking out the yard, oh my gosh, chocolate melts in the heat. I just started. But you know, we were running, and I said, "Oh, thank you, Finn, for because it would start blowing." I said, "I really needed that." And that's all the word that I knew at the time was "no." Thank you, wind, for the freeze. And then I got to the point where I was running. The wind quit. I was running. Like it was like, "Son, I love you and thank you for your your heat and for the light. I love you, but wind, can you pick it up a little bit?" Because I was running, and then big old gusts of wind would start. I'm not saying every time, but the majority of the time, I was talking to the wind and it would blow, and I would say thank you, but oh, that was the only word I knew at the time. Now we can say, okay, the wind, hopefully, but oh, you're outside, you're walking around the neighborhood, hopefully, but oh, wind, thank you. For this shade, so just say these little things, get into the mindset, feel the words here. Because our people always had a connection with Mother Earth. And through the time, and we all know what happened, through all this time, our connections, we're trying to get a connection back. And through our language and our culture, you can feel it. Anyway, I encourage everybody to speak the language, think the language, listen to the sounds, and go to a stop sign, C, D, O, T, and then just keep practicing. So, like I said, I showed you the template here. And that's what we're going to be doing for Module 4. I will throw more things on there because majority of us already know steps. And you guys understand the concept of the steps that I show you guys. You guys are catching on really fast. And it's exciting to see. And in here, even, just introduction. Like this morning, well ago, introduction. Stongo, exchange. And somebody said that stongetos, so even sometimes I know what I'm supposed to say. My mind's like, oh my gosh, I just like I'm so excited, and then they're just like, okay, and then they walk off, and by the time I'm like, wait, where are you going? So it takes practice.
At the end of the day, you mentioned really questions like, thank you.
Yeah, and then I was talking to Philip, and he says, no, we go to 7-Eleven, grab some, no. I in Oklahoma, the extras, no, thank you. And they're like, oh, just little things like that. And you can either say English afterwards or no. But just practice. No. How many times do you say thank you? Or or you're welcome. Inga, welcome. Just practice these little things, and that little thing gets you going forward in your language journey. All right, so let's go ahead and briefly go over these. Like I said, I'd like to show you the plug and play of how we can do our infinitive verbs. I haven't gotten our new infinitive verbs, so these are old infinitive verbs from module 1, 2, and 3. And I didn't print any infinitive verbs to hand out, but we'll find it up to dance. We'll find it up. You drop your ETV, it's your verb stamp, fun. Open. So like I said, in the sets, we just go down, we add, and we add, and a lot of things that I was laughing about is I like to teach the long math. So I refer to this, sometimes you'll hear me refer to this as long math. And then once we learn the long math, we can go shorten it because we've already learned the steps. Right? So long math and long conjugation. And later on in our class, I will show you shortcuts and shorten it up, but you know now what each part of the conjugation means. So you have a little bit more knowledge than some of us do because we just learned, oh, this means this. Now it's like, dang, that's not what it means. All right, so right here, add your upon, going to what you said, future tense. One upon, you add your person marker, I. One upon S, add your S, add the declared ending. So that's, so going through our steps, we went from to dance, conjugated, each part of it. Honest. Verb scan, going to person marker, the MR is honest. I am going to dance. Because we're talking about I right there. I am going to dance. Right here, and this is for you to get your hands for this S. I am going to dance. Honest. Remember the I, like they say. I know I have to remind myself. Got a question? No. And like I said, I show you guys, different examples because we need to see it over and over and over again. That's how we learn. Same thing, same process. To work. I don't know. This needs to be work, not dance. Scratch that out. And so you get your verb stem, you drop your ETV. No L rating, that's for the L rating we were talking about. That's why I put it in there. Because sometimes when people remember something, and I just want to say there's no L rating in here, so we're not going to put the long marker or anything. That's why that's in there. And now we know what L rating is. The don't come on, going to future tense. The don't come on A, you have your person marker A. The don't come on A, next, look upon this. Let's declare the ending, which is MR is. And go to harmonious. Verb stem. Going to person marker, and then MR is. Go to harmonious. I am going to be. Right, word. Right. You're right. That needs to be work. Scratch it out and put work. I am going to work. Hi.
That L grading is on the last vowel of the stem. Like
So that's, yes.
the last vowel of the stem. So with the don't get out, you have two syllable stem. I don't think. And when hit you that, you just have that one, two, just that one syllable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know it gets kind sometimes I'm like, I don't quite understand, but I try to present it to everybody the way I understand it, and why it only does it on that one, why there's no celebration on that one, I don't, I know it's in the book, it's referenced in the book. I don't know. Stajati likes to do things a little different. To make. You drop your ETV, get your verb stem. No L rating. Upon, going to, use your future tense marker. Ayahana, as a person marker, Ayahanas. As a declared opinion, MRA is also a period. Ayahanas. Verb stamp, going to person marker, and then you got your MRAs. Ayahanas, I am going to make. Huh? Well, you would put Ayahanas, I am making bread. So whenever you want to expand on your sentences, like I said, I'm showing you simple sentences. But expand on your sentence, you put it something here. Kibala. Not wait, can't wait for strawberry. Lady, Ayahanas. Bread. Bread, I am going to make. And one of the things that we were talking about in one of my other classes, if you listen to it, bread, I am going to make. Sounds like Yoda. I always talk about Yoda speech. Mvskoke sounds like Yoda speech. So I always tell everybody Yoda was Mvskoke. And then I always hear people say, you know, Mvskoke, when you translate it out right here, make going to I am, when you translate it out literally, they're like, oh, Mvskoke's backwards. I'm like, no, Mvskoke's been around thousands of years. It used to say English isn't the backwards. So I like to empower our words because I know our words have been around thousands and thousands of years, but it's not backwards. You understand it if I say making, going to I am. You understand it. I'm not saying it's backwards. And then the lady, I am honest. Bread, I'm going to make. Then you put Stalakjati, I am honest. You remember Stalakjati?
That's my name.
Is that right? Okay, what's it mean? Red beans. All right. Going to make red beans. All right. So that looks like that's our hour. Does anybody have any questions online? Do you guys have any questions? No? Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. And it's good to see you guys online.
Mado.
Everybody later. So I will see Adam Chikafu. I will see you all again. All right, Mado. One person. Adam Chikafu. I think you could have a place tomorrow morning.